Guess who's back? Back again. SHP.
Who? Oh!
Jess and Dan.
You didn't give me a chance to guess.
Back? Guess who's back?
You didn't give me a chance. Yes, we're back.
After an unexpected break.
Yeah, what's up with you, Jess? Why are you always...
Excuse me? This, always happens where one of us will be like, oh, man, I really need, a break of a week, and then something will come up the next week, and I'm like, no, see, we should not have taken a break the week before, since we needed the break this week.
That's right. From end to end, we needed a break. That's the song we're doing. I'm not even... That's not even the end of the cold open.
And in case you can't tell from this energy, which one
I have lots of
break.
energy. You're always pointing out we don't have the right energy, and then it sounds fine. Okay, I have good energy. Hey, everybody, welcome to Sadie Hawkins Pod. We'll be back at you after this.
Hey, hey, can you hear anything I say? Yeah. I'm feeling unwanted. It's not what I wanted, and attention to me is something you refuse to pay.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sadie Hawkins Pod.
That's my line.
I know,
I do like the energy.
energy.
You sure do. All right. Well, hello, everyone. This is Sadie Hawkins Pod.
Hello. So we're back, and yeah, I don't want to harp on oh, we had another week off. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for anyone who relies on us for their week. It's hard to imagine that that's true, but I know some people have said oh, you don't have an episode. I'm sorry. I'm sorry we don't have an episode.
That's lovely. Thank you for letting us into your homes and your workplaces and your cars. I know we're definitely on in some cars right now, based on voicemails that we get.
Right. So we're gonna try to really me getting into this new job it's been since May, so there's not really much of an excuse, but this new job I have, it's really ramping up now, and since COVID, we would record on a weekday and would release the next day, or sometimes even the same day. We can't do that anymore. I go into the office, my job's getting more intense, in a good way. It's just getting more involved. I'm getting more responsibility.
You had more training.
Had more training as I'm leveling up within this company that I'm working at. So not leveling up promotion wise, but just leveling up in terms of responsibility. So I'm just realizing we can't stick to the old Sadie Hawkins Pod schedule model. It doesn't work anymore. We gotta go forward. We gotta do something else. We can't record on a Monday night and then release, or Tuesday night and release on the Tuesday or Wednesday night anymore. We gotta totally rework that.
So get your voicemails in early, or they will be played the following week, which I guess you'll just notice as we go along under the new format. Which will be kind of
like how it used to be before COVID. Before I was home all day and we record any day we wanted. So I don't know. Yeah, I apologize for when we haven't been around. But I don't want to harp on it because I talk about it all the time. I hate when I watch a YouTube video from 5 years ago and it opens with 5 minutes of someone explaining why they haven't been around. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not even subscribed to you. So, God forbid the from end to end super fans are we don't know what you're talking about.
It's bringing in new listeners.
Right. And we have, finally, IVF is moving forward.
Yes.
For those who have been listening for a while, we've been working on IVF for a long time. There was a lot of holdups because of healthcare, and the money turned out to be the least of the problems. Because we talked about it, we were blessed to have our family basically help us with the monetary weight of doing IVF. But now, we still needed our healthcare lined up, and it wasn't lined up correctly. And then there was a whole thing where they were like, "Oh, Jessica, you're not, your body's not ready," and it turned out it was, and they held that up for no reason, and all this stuff. Finally, we have implantation scheduled. So your prayers, your thoughts, whatever way you want to send, good vibes, good prayer requests.
We're deeply appreciative. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and we're excited to give you the update that things are moving along. Things are looking good, and yes, we're moving on to implantation at the beginning of November. So very exciting.
Yes.
So yeah, thank you so much for everyone who has continued to just keep us in their thoughts and their prayers and send good vibes all along the way. Thank you guys so much, and we feel very blessed to have such a wonderful little community here, and thank you. So we definitely wanted to give you that little update. So yeah, I definitely had with that, these past couple of weeks, I've had a lot of appointments with that as well coming up as we're getting closer and closer.
It was really on me.
So
how we've been slowing down on our podcast scheduling, but that's another thing.
Let's forget not slow down.
Let's forget not slow and talk about the song. Forget not slow down. Well, you know who really needs prayer requests and who really had a problem not being able to forget and slowing down was When We Were Young Festival.
Oh my gosh, that's right. That is top of the show business.
Because last week we did our special episode talking about When We Were Young Festival 2023 announcement, Relient K being a part of that, whether or not you should try to go to that, like,
it's sold out, like, instantly.
That's one update, is, like, here we were talking to people, and we weren't saying, last week we weren't giving you advice about When We Were Young Fest out of nowhere. Like I said, I had 3 different people hit us up in the DM or publicly in comments asking, like, what's the deal with this? How does this work? What's going on? Isn't this Fire Festival? And we had the whole discussion about it. It was real. It's real, but it's sold out immediately. So we were giving all this advice of, like, if you've never been to a big festival like this outside of maybe a Christian festival in your experience, like, you got to really think about it. Don't go just for Relient K. Barely matters. It's sold out in minutes for 2023.
So if you're going, congrats. And if you're not, don't get FOMO. It's all good. There will be other shows. And yeah, it's funny because people are like, oh, is this real? Is this fake? And then with this what happened for 2022.
Since we didn't record last week. I mean, I guess we'll just have to timestamp the recording of this episode. We're recording on Sunday, October 23rd, right? Today's the second day, or the would have been second day of the first year of When We Were Young Fest. Because the Blink-182, again, I got to summarize this because people were still confused about this online, like, today. People thought, like, wait, did they cancel next year with Blink-182 and Green Day and Relient K is on there as well? Like, no. This year, the one that's headlined by Paramore and My Chemical Romance, and there's Jimmy Eat World in there, and there's Bright Eyes in there. This year's, the first day got canceled 30 minutes to door. And this is not next year's, with Relient K and MXPX down the list and Blink-182 and Green Day headlining. 30 minutes to door this year's canceled. And, like, they clearly were making a specific marketing schedule push to have announced the Blink-182 Green Day next year lineup a week ahead, 2 weeks ahead of this year's lineup. They were fighting all of this, like, Fire Festival comparisons that people were making, which, again, I still don't think is, like, fair, because
you're not stranded on a private island.
Yeah, Fire Festival.
You're not relying on, I keep wanting to call it, it's not Dead Fest. You're not relying on When We Were Young for your accommodations, for your lodging, for your food, for your general well-being. Like, you're paying, considering, compared to Fire Festival, you're paying a very small amount compared to that. And you're in the middle of Las Vegas. So, like, it stinks if it gets canceled. That's, like, awful. It totally sucks. But you're still in Las Vegas. You've gotten your own accommodations. You've got your own food thing going. You're not stranded in the desert. You're in the middle of a city. You can go and do other things.
And that's the big thing. Like, that's how this isn't like Fire Festival, because Fire Festival was kind of almost deliberately set in literally in the middle of nowhere on a private island where only one way gets you there, and then suddenly there's no way off the island. And, like, they didn't have to have, like, permits and stuff, right? But if you're having a big festival in the middle of Las Vegas, there's permits signed.
There's a paper trail.
There's a paper trail. You have to hire police and fire detail. You have to sign all these contracts. Fire Festival was like $5,000 for a bungalow on an island where you get to watch Ja Rule and Blink-182. This is
382 pulled out before
early.
Anything really went.
But when
far.
we were young, it's $300 to see Paramore and My Chemical Romance and 30 other bands in the middle of Las Vegas. This isn't Fire Festival. Now,
it does seem too good to be true, and I totally see why you would be like, "Oh, this feels too good to be true," because we are so far separated. It feels like now, even though it's not that many years, we are really separated from sort of festival culture as it used to be, like Warped Tour, where you would go and see a lineup of these kind of bands in over the course of a couple days, not just one day.
Right.
But you would still be in a Warped Tour was one day.
It was one day per city. Sorry, you're right. I'm thinking of it for the customers.
It's traveling. Right. So you go, and it is like one day, but like if you miss it in Detroit, you can always go to Chicago or whatever. You know, like you were more used to that from then. And I think there's
those
just enough of a
ended.
Separation. Yeah, those festivals have ended.
The thing is that business model of we get a big touring all-day punk festival to hit the road. There's 5 stages happening at the same time, dozens of bands, basically a shopping mall worth of band merch aisles, like intense. That like traveling circus of a giant festival. As the music industry and the economy changed throughout the 90s into the 2000s, that was no longer sustainable as a giant all-day touring festival. And that's why those things have all ended. So now all of these festivals, because Lollapalooza was originally a big touring all-summer-long festival that went to multiple cities, and then they rebranded
I think you mean Hullabalooza.
Hullabalooza, right.
I saw a guy get shot out of a cannon there once.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he got shot with a cannonball, excuse me.
But the day that I went to, he jumped out of the way of the cannonball. We were all so bummed. We booed at him. I guess it was like something about his health, but I was like, whatever. Yeah, so like over time, the economy in the music industry changed where an all-day touring festival was no longer viable. Lollapalooza became a one-day festival where it used to be a touring festival. Warped Tour canceled, and there's like rumors that one day Warped Tour will come back as a one-day only festival someday. I don't know if that's going to happen, but in the meantime, things like When We Were Young and Back to the Beach and things like that have tried to pick up the one-day version of Warped Tour banner. Yeah, When We Were Young this year had some really horrible luck by having these high winds, and it was windy here in Los Angeles, so all the way out there in the desert of Las Vegas, it had to be super windy for them to cancel the day for safety reasons. And it really sucks for the When We Were Young corporation, because they're already fighting this like rhetoric that they're Fire Festival, even though I don't think that that's like warranted at all. It's just like Fire Festival is this meme-ish, zeitgeist, hilarious thing that happened on an island in the middle of nowhere, and rich people got screwed over, and that's hilarious. But then that gets like put into the zeitgeist and like mulled around until like any festival is suddenly Fire Fest. Like, no, there's music festivals all the time, and like because of upstart ones. We talked about this last week, but yeah, sucks. Our friend Emily, who we know from Blink 155, like all the friends that I made who live here in Los Angeles and were listeners of Blink 155, she was at the gate. She was there when it got canceled. When it got, like, they canceled the day. And it was, so we found out it was half an hour before. And David Park's in that same text group. And so we're like, oh my God, like, I couldn't believe it. And then, yeah. And I guess day 2 is happening right now as we're recording. I guess I could look that up.
So there are multiple days, because I thought it was just, or at least next year, it's just one day.
Next year, it's one day. Okay. I think it was originally supposed to be 3 days.
Okay, so at least they're getting something this year, where they at least are getting a day in there. That's good.
Yeah, I mean...
I thought it was all just one day.
They could have moved it down to one day because of, things, but I'm going to look it up real quick. Is it still happening right now? Hey, future Danny here. So the second day of When We Were Young Fest 2022 happens next weekend. They're 2 days a week apart. I didn't actually finish looking it up while we were recording, so that's your update from the future.
See, we're even confused as to what is going on. We're like, guys, everything's fine. Calm down.
The AV Club had a headline that says, Defiant God shuts down first day of When We Were Young Festival.
Well, clearly this won't happen next year then with Relient K there.
Right.
And to a lesser degree, MXPX.
Right. Oh, well. So that's our update on the When We Were Young festival stuff. So this still has nothing to do with next year, unless this somehow, unless all the refunds or the lawsuits that may happen from this. But the thing is, I would imagine that When We Were Young festival has insurance for this. They must have had huge insurance, and this is a literal act of God. And if there's act of God coverage in their insurance, then I'm sure the When We Were Young Festival Corporation is probably going to be okay, and then next year's will still happen.
Yeah, as far as we know, this is all legitimate, unlike Firefest, which is just run by an asshole.
It was literally an asshole who was like, "Oh, I want to do a festival." He collected all the money and then didn't start the work. He didn't start the work. He didn't even have the stages and the bungalows finished. Like, that's not how any other music festival had ever really happened to that scale. So I don't know why everyone just immediately assumes everything is Fire Festival, because this happened that one time. Like, all of society has become, like, shy to the idea of music festivals because of this one idiot. Anyway,
Which is really a shame.
What other top of the show things do we have?
Do we have voicemails?
We do. And you don't have to go hiding yet. We do have deathbed follow-up.
Okay.
But we won't discuss those yet. First, we have this voicemail from Daniel, and this actually goes a couple of weeks back. I think we missed this on our deathbed episode, right? Because we had so much to do. So this is Daniel calling about something. I'm reading through the...
Calling about something?
Well, I'm reading through... Because in one thing he says Sloop John B., but I don't know if he's actually calling about Sloop John B. So let's hear what Daniel has to say here.
What's up, it's Daniel. I have a note about grits.
Oh, right, okay. So this is about Sloop John B. I mentioned the band Grits because the food grits are mentioned in Sloop John B.
I thought it was about the food. I got excited for a
second.
We'll
find out.
Or is it about girls raised in the South?
Well, I think Daniel here is going to talk about the band Grits.
Okay.
So when I first bought Anatomy of the Tongue-in-Cheek, which was the first CD I ever bought with my own money, it came with this sampler CD of just like a bunch of different like Christian rock and rap artists and stuff, artists. And Grits had a song on there. It wasn't My Life Be Like, which is their really famous one that you just played. But I think it was off the same album. It was called Here We Go. Probably like that one, and there was a what's his name, John Rubin song on the same sample CD, and those are like the only two rap songs that I liked. Yeah, it was a good song, but I looked it up later, and it, like a couple of years ago, it was just fun because I didn't really know anything about it. But apparently co-wrote it. Then co-wrote.
Oh, we lost some audio there. So let's see if I can still suss out what he was.
What was he saying John Rubin was dippity doing?
I don't know. He's not replying to our request to be on our Silly Shoes episode.
Oh, man.
That's what he's dippity not doing.
A free sample CD that I got when I was, I don't know. Anyway, and then the first time I saw was in 2004, like right around 4th of July, and they played at Six Flags Dallas, and Grits, I think, was the first musical act of that night. It was Grits, Pillar, the Supertones, and then Relient K. So I don't think those are obviously not all Go-To Records groups, but yeah, so I have seen them live. They were kind of a big deal for a hot minute, and yeah, I don't know too much else. The one guy's name is Coffee. That's kind of funny. All right, see ya.
Is it coffee or copy?
I don't know. I was trying to figure that out.
So I missed who wrote.
Both are fantastic.
Copy and coffee?
Is that anything like the hit song Xerox from the movie Future Kill, 1985?
Oh my gosh. We watched this movie called Future Kill, which is famous.
Can't recommend it
enough.
But, yeah.
It's infamous for having a cover painted by H.R. Geiger, who's the artist that created the Alien. And it's like, why did H.R. Geiger do the poster for this one really cheap horror movie?
Because it's fantastic sci-fi art.
But the movie doesn't live up to it.
No.
And it's like really confusing because it's called Future Kill, so we think it's going to be the future, but then it turns out no, it's just the 80s. It's the time it was made, and it's a bunch of like frat boys who decide to go downtown and do a prank where they like mix about with the punk kids that are called the mutants, but like, are they actually mutants or are they punk kids?
Well,
like, the reality is so confused.
Only one of them is a mutant, and Splatter is a mutant. Everybody else is just there because they're all gathered around their leader, who it's very punk in that they're like, hey, we're here. We're like, they're like environmental, not terrorists, but they're like out there being like.
There's a whole side of town.
Activists out, yeah.
It's not the future.
And it's shot in Austin.
It's shot in Austin, Texas. Let's just assume it's Austin, Texas. They're saying there's an entire, like, slum in Austin, Texas that's just taken over by hundreds of punks that all paint their faces with makeup the same way and just mill about, and one of them is really evil and has a robotic arm and kills people. This sounds interesting, but it's not, because the whole time we're like, where's the future kill? Is this the future?
Very poorly lit street fight scenes. There, and then there are some really mind-boggling, like, great baffling scenes.
The song is called Xerox. They go into a punk club. The whole downtown area that they mill about for most of the movie is like abandoned, and then they go into this one punk club, and it's filled with hundreds of these same punk people, all with the exact same makeup on their face.
Not a fun Streets of Fire punk club though.
But I was like, well, where does everyone in this club go to get food after the show? Because there's nowhere to eat.
Same place as LA, which is nowhere because everything's closed by the time you get out of anything. Good Lord, it's one of the two biggest cities in this country, and everything closes at like 9 p.m.
But then the punk band in Future Kill is the softest, most Pat Benatar style punk band. Like, they probably were thinking of like the Germs or the Dead Kennedys, but no, they got a really, really new wavy band, and they try to make it doesn't look dangerous at all. It's so dumb.
We're making this sound better than it is.
Yeah. Anyway, and you said that because I wasn't sure if the guy's name was Coffee or Copy.
Right.
Well, his name is Coffee.
Nice.
Coffee and Bonafide are the members of... It's like Red Foo and Kung Fu Blue or whatever LMFAO's names are. Sky Blue and Red Foo, I think. Anyway.
All right. What do we have next?
Well, we have a voicemail from Sam. I don't remember which Sam, because we got two Sams now.
Well, that's fine.
I'm guessing it's the new Sam.
Maybe it's a third one.
Oh, it says, hi, guys, it's Sam again, so it's our new Sam.
Hey, guys, it's Sam again. And I'm calling because I literally just listened to the 17 magazine episode, and I was, like, honestly surprised that Jessica didn't find my Relient K 17 magazine fan fiction that I posted, and then I decided to do a deep dive in my own past fan fictions that I've written, and I'm like, oh shit, I don't think it's public anymore, and I can't find it. And but I did find a different fanfic that I had posted that was a Matthew Thiessen fanfic from, like, I don't know, is it 10 years ago, I think? I'm looking at it right now, and I wanted to say that because I thought it was really, really funny.
Send it. Please send. Please send both of them. We won't even read them aloud if you don't want us to. I'll just read it for my own personal enjoyment.
If you guys want to know, like, if you guys want to see it so you can read it to yourself and not read it to a live audience, I'm happy to give you guys that information.
It's like she heard you in the recorded voicemail.
I know what I'm reading tonight before bed.
But, like, it was written by me, I think, something like a long time ago. This was a very, very long time ago. But all the same, anyway, I'm sorry, I was trying to look at it so I could see it and see when I wrote it, but I think it's something like 10, maybe even closer to like 12 or 13 years ago now. But yeah, I thought you guys would like that. Okay, bye.
Well, clearly Jessica's very excited to hear about this.
Absolutely.
What she's not excited to hear about is the last voicemail we have, which is about Deathbed.
Oh no, what's happening?
Oh.
What are these lights in the sky?
Oh my gosh, Oh, it's the recently returned Tom DeLonge. He's on a spaceship and he's beaming Jessica away. Oh my word. What excellent timing. Well, there she goes. I don't know if I trust Jessica on a spaceship with Tom DeLonge. I mean, I trust her. She has no attraction to Tom DeLonge that I know of, but I don't know. Hopefully we'll get her back. Here is the voicemail from Greg calling about Deathbed.
Hey, Dan and Jess. This is Greg. Just finished up the Deathbed episode, and sorry to take it back there. But a couple things that I didn't think got brought up in the earlier Deathbed episode or this one that I wanted to touch on. So I actually got to see Relient K in June of 2009. They played Raleigh, North Carolina. That was the tour they did with Owl City. And got the chance to meet Thiessen after the show. And I mentioned to him how much I enjoyed Deathbed. They did it as the encore that concert. And he mentioned to me that the song was actually based on the life of a relative of his, I think an uncle. He had mentioned that I think aspects of that person's life kind of inspired the song. It sounds like in real life that person had a happier ending. I think they had some of the same struggles in the beginning, but became a Christian, and I think even got remarried and actually had kind of a happier life before dying. But the song did pull from aspects of that person's life, which I thought was interesting. That at least was partially based on a real person in Thiessen's family. The other thing, and again, I don't think this got mentioned, but I noticed that the acapella intro in Plead the Fifth, if you come in, the acapella melody that comes in at the 17-second mark, that runs from about 17 seconds to 42 seconds, maps and perfectly onto the chord progression in the musical interlude in Deathbed, the one that kicks in at about the 8-minute mark when the character's soul is ascending. But if you listen to that chord progression from Deathbed, and then you listen to that acapella melody on Play the Fifth, they map together. And you mentioned in the episode, I think in an interview, Thiessen said that was the Play the Fifth was the last thing they did. So I wonder if it seems like that had to be an intentional choice to kind of allude to the big finale on the album in the opening track. Anyway, that's awesome. You guys are great. Really love the show. Can't wait to hear the next episode.
And then Greg, after this voicemail, he DM'd us. Well, us. I'm the only one still here. Jessica's up in space somewhere still at this moment. Greg DM'd us to mention, after he left this voicemail, he double-checked the old Deathbed episode, the original one, episode 70, and that we did hit on some of these points. But that's the thing I mentioned in our most recent Deathbed episode, is that you could literally do a podcast series individually about the song Deathbed. You could take it like phrase for phrase, minute for minute, and you could make an entire podcast series just about that one song, and it's impossible to get to everything in even the 2 episodes we've done about the song. It was a 2.5-hour episode, and there were things that I talked about in episode 70 that I didn't even think about in this month's Deathbed episode. But yeah, one of them was, one thing I remember is that I found a YouTube video where Thiessen says in an interview, I'm speaking from Thiessen's point of view, I wanted to write a song about dealing with death, and it was written from the first person, and then it wasn't working out, so I created a third person narrative and this character. Now, what Greg was told by Thiessen makes complete sense, that if he starts writing from a third person, if he started out writing it from his own point of view and then he starts making up a fictional character to give this same idea, he's going to pull from aspects of his own life. I mean, he started from his first person point of view. It makes sense to also try to come up with all this history. Writers pull from what they know, and they pull from people's lives that they know personally and things like that. I mean, I imagine a song is that's this complex that even like Thiessen couldn't give all the information about the inspiration for this song in one interview. Like you could write a book about Deathbed. So that all makes sense to me, that there could be multiple ways. Thiessen might say one thing about what was the inspiration for Deathbed in one interview, and then he might say something else in a different interview. But I believe that all those answers could be correct because it's so complex that there's not just one angle in which all of these things came together. And yeah, by the time we had done the most recent Deathbed episode, I didn't even think to talk about the Pleading the Fifth opening, but we did talk about that in the original episode 70. So before I called to the heavens to bring Jessica back down from the spaceship, there was one other email that someone sent us, and this was from Dominic, and they wrote, "Hi, Jess and Dan," well, it's just me, "listen to your Deathbed episode on the way to university today. It's my favorite song, and there's a couple of things that I think Dan missed when talking about the version on the live album, mainly towards the end of the song." And see, this is the thing. I didn't A-B the live version and the studio version to tell all the differences, but I saw that there's like 2.5 minutes missing from the live version. The instrumental after the character dies is significantly shorter than the 5-score instrumental piece, which is probably how they shaved off so much time. Also, during the I Am the Life part, when George Foreman... I did it again. When John Foreman, and then Dominic wrote Grill, making fun of the fact that I can't not say George Foreman. I've never had this problem until this month. Says, "Embrace me and you'll understand." Matt T has a more evident harmonization, which strengthened what you were saying about the original Heaven part, which I can't remember, but hopefully you do. I'm not sure right now. Anyway, thanks for reading this little essay, Dominic. So, yeah, thank you for doing the work that I did not... There was so much work to prepare for that episode 3 weeks ago now, and I definitely, comparing the live version to the studio version, was the last thing on my list. Oh, what's this? The spaceship is back. The spaceship is returning. I can't believe aliens exist. Oh, here comes Jessica. She's zooming down. Whoa, Jessica, are you okay?
Wow. What an amazing experience.
I don't like this.
It was so beautiful out there, just amongst the cosmos. I can't believe Tom DeLonge was right all along. I can't wait to give all my money to the To the Stars Academy. No. What? Oh.
No.
Hi. How was it? What did I miss?
Nothing much. But you're back just in time to actually talk about the song.
Oh, all
from
right.
end to end. Is your mind totally opened? Are you ready to talk about Relient K's song about the universe and aliens?
You know, I actually did not dive too deep into the song. I mean, I did do my deep dive. There's not a lot there, but I have not really delved into the lyrics here at all. So not knowing the words to this song, right. It's definitely musically a jam for sure. Very, very late 90s vibes, but...
Right. We preemptively talked about this song in our Church Jams Now episode that we appeared on.
Yeah. I double-checked, and I personally, I don't know about you, but I didn't have any specific notes on this song.
Right, and we mentioned to them when we were on their show, because we went through the entirety of the Two Lefts album with them, that this is a song we hadn't done on the podcast yet. But all of us, from what I remember, all of us agreed that From End to End is like the most forgettable song on Two Lefts.
Right.
Which is odd because when you say forgettable, you think it means it's like a song that kind of fades into the background, or it's a song that sounds too much like the rest of the songs. But From End to End has this odd, and I think I said this in the Church Jams Now episode as well, From End to End sounds quite different from the... I can't believe we're just moving on after you just got brought back down to Earth from aliens.
It happens.
We just moved on from that. Oh well. From End to End sounds the most to me like a song that Relient K would have written later on in their career, or during and 5-score. This song sounds the most like a proto version musically of a song that would be ready for the next era of the band.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I like the music. There's a part which very much reminds me of Everything You Want by Vertical Horizon and other like late elementary, early middle school jams, specifically around the 3-minute, 20-something second mark, right, with that breakdown until you see things through from end to end. Like the way he's like, from end to end. Like, right. I don't know, something about that is very Everything You Want.
That's funny. It's striking a chord in your mind to one sort of late 90s sound. it strikes a chord in my mind to another late 90s sound, and that's that, like, every Fat Records and Epitaph Records, the Fat Wreck sound, every one of those kind of late 90s skate punk bands has, like, a dramatic, like, sincere song on the album. Like Millencolin and No Use for a Name and bands like that. You know, they'll always Lagwagon. They'll always have, like, it's like a fun skate. You think of it as a fun skate punk sound, but then they'll always have sort of a, not necessarily darker, but a more sincere sounding song. And this to me sounds like one of those kind of songs where, like, a skate punky band, like a NoFX inspired, even NoFX have a couple of, like, sincere songs that are a little bit more mid-tempo. And this is what I feel like was kind of built upon here. I feel like, especially because we know that Matt Thiessen around this time was a little bit more inspired by NoFX. He had that NoFX sticker on his keyboard at this time, from the time, like, between this album and Like, this feels like one of those, like, mid-tempo, dramatic, I would never say emo in this context, but one of those dramatic skate punk songs. Like, here's our sincere, artsy skate punk song. There's a couple other things going on in this that, like, a band like Millencolin or No Use for a Name maybe wouldn't necessarily. There's a couple, like, extra lifts and a couple extra turns and complications musically that maybe is more akin to other inspirations that Relient K has, like, you know, certain Christian things, definitely lyrically, which we haven't even gotten into yet. But that's how it struck the chord with me, especially the opening, like, like that first part. It feels like Fat Mike's vocals are going to come in any second, but instead it takes this totally other turn, and it becomes this other song. So it's just funny that as it gets, it does have, like, a late 90s sound. But yeah, I don't know. This just sounds the most like the kind of song this is. Sounds like it could have been like a cut song from Five Score to me. Like, it doesn't sound like the sort of more straightforward Relient K that you think of from the first 3 years. And of course they have a lot of different songs that sound different from the first 3 albums, like Softer to Me and Balloon Ride and Jefferson Airplane.
This was maybe their sort of, I don't want to say experimental song, but they're sort of like slightly different, like, working with a different than usual musical style. Maybe.
And kind of getting that idea, maybe this, like I said, maybe this is something that's kind of getting them ready for the slight shift of sound, of songwriting that they're going to have with and Five Score.
Yeah.
And so maybe that is something for why this is the most forgettable song on Two Lefts, because it's not like this is a bad song and it stands out. It's a different kind of song, but because it is so kind of different from the rest of the album, sort of, it just becomes the most forgettable song. I'm curious to know anyone who's like, this is their favorite song. It's kind of different
to you and you don't know why. What?
And they've never, as far as I know, they've never played this song live, unless this is one of those things where they only played it a handful of times that was never recorded to YouTube or put on Setlist FM. But this is a song that they never seem to have really played. So this is a deep cut album cut. It just feels like it feels like a Black Sheep. But again, Black Sheep is a bad connotation. It just feels like a slight outlier stylistically from the rest of the album, and it's very odd that it then ends up feeling like, oh yeah, that song's on there. Especially because Jefferson Airplane, what's the order? Like, Jefferson Airplane is not a forgettable song, but that's at the very end of the album. Let me look.
Yeah, but is Jefferson Airplane sort of the beloved song it is because of Bird and the B-Sides, where you get the demo? Because I know I personally prefer the demo version of Jefferson Airplane over this version.
I mean, maybe the fact that Jefferson Airplane was released so often in their discography, because the quote-unquote demo of Jefferson Airplane was released first. It was released on, I think it was the Employee of the Month. And then it was either that or Creepy EP. I can't remember which. It was released on one of those two. It was probably Employee of the Month. And then they flesh it out and do the full studio version, which, by the way, going back, the demo version, I was told, just like you didn't hear it, you were up in the spaceship, but just like how Greg was told by Matt Thiessen himself a fact about the inspiration for Deathbed that's like not recordable anywhere else in interviews, I was told by Relient K that the recording of Jefferson Airplane on the original EP version was an Earthquakes song. It was an Earthquakes demo, or it was an Earthquakes final thing. So then they boost it up to Relient K, and they do it again, and then they re-release it on Bird and the B-Sides as the quote-unquote demo. So maybe because that song's been released so many times, it gives like a credence to like, oh yeah, if you didn't get to the end of Two Lefts, go back and listen to Jefferson Airplane again, because this song has been released so many times. But, like, I don't understand. Like, I felt like I knew Gibberish really well, and I felt like I knew Jefferson Airplane really well, but for some reason the song in between from end to end, did I skip it? Like, or when it turned on, did I just, like, tune out my mind and not pay attention to this song?
Huh.
I don't know. I'll tell you what, I definitely didn't pay attention to this song, because I had no idea what the song was about. It's not
I still don't know what the song is about.
Well, this is the thing I most want to talk about.
I'm sorry, because Midnights by Taylor Swift came out, so I've been a little preoccupied this week.
Would you rather just forget all about this and just talk about Midnights?
Not gay enough. I mean, vigilante shit, Karma, and You're on Your Own Kid are pretty sick, though. Sweet Nothing is growing on me. No, I like it. It's good. The whole album's growing on me. It's good stuff. I just ordered the Mahogany Edition vinyl, so exciting.
Great. Yeah, while we were sitting here in the podcast, Jessica like showed me her Target order for the vinyl of Midnights. So, from end to end, lyrics. Yeah, like, I definitely never pay attention to this song because I had no idea what the song was about. It's pretty obvious once you've listened to it closely what it is, but it's not a song that, like, screams at you what it's about. It's also not, like, a completely abstract song. It's clearly about, once I've listened to it, it's clearly about proselytizing, witnessing, asking someone to believe in the Christian faith. That's what the song's about.
Gotcha.
But it's just a song that meaning doesn't leap out at you as strongly as, say, Sadie Hawkins dance. Like, it's about a Sadie Hawkins dance.
Right.
And you can tell from end to end is about some sort of anxiety, some sort of plea, but it wasn't something that just leapt out to me. It's just like stays vague enough at different points where he doesn't say like, please believe in Jesus. If there was a big like, please believe in Jesus, then you'd know exactly what the song's about.
Right.
But once I listened to it like 8 times, I was like, oh, okay, this is a song about witnessing to someone and asking them to believe in Christ. But then this opened up this whole other thing that I was just thinking about before we picked this song. And we picked this song like a week ago before we actually did it. But I had seen a tweet online, as I do when I'm just scrolling through, spying on everyone who's talking about Relient K on Twitter, and some person like not connected to any other conversation, not connected to any other like trending thing about Relient K currently on Twitter, someone just tweeted, I just found out Relient K is Christian, and now I realize that my favorite song of theirs is actually about God. Like, damn, like they just figured this out, and it like broke my heart. Because and in a subsequent tweet, I'm not naming them because I don't know if it's appropriate to like dox them in this format, but it's like they then they were like, I thought the song was about dealing with a toxic relationship, and now I realize it's about God. Like, man, big Christianity got me or something. It's like, that's heartbreaking, because that song is about what you think it's about, because Relient K wrote it that way. Like, Relient K have a few songs that it's clearly this song is about this. Like, the Sadie Hawkins dance is about a Sadie Hawkins dance. I Am Lion-O is about the Thundercats.
It is?
Right. Deathbed is about dealing with death and believing in Christ. Like, those things are undeniable. But with a song like Be My Escape or similar songs, and even this song, you know what the lens is he's writing through. You know it's based off of his faith. You know he has this faith background, and that when he writes things, it is most likely, when he writes things that feel vague enough, it's probably coming from that point of view, right? But Thiessen, is such a talented lyricist that he knows how to take the inspiration, which is his faith in Christ, and bring it down and frame it in a way where when he presents the song out to the world, it's everyone's song to interpret however they want.
Absolutely.
And obviously, like I said, there are exceptions to that. Deathbed is clearly about Christianity. We had this whole thing when we talked about Be My Escape, because Be My Escape is the biggest example of this. And Thiessen did that interview with the Less Than Jake guy recently, and he said, like, Be My Escape is based off of... He didn't even say based off of my Christian faith or whatever. He didn't say my faith in Christ. He was like, yeah, that just comes from, like, my background of what I believe. He was still vague about it. But it's like, yeah, he was inspired by the way that he feels his relationship with Christ works, and that Christ and his faith can be his escape. And that becomes the song. He said he writes a song about something you believe in being your escape. He starts it over here as my faith in Christ becomes my escape. He brings it over here to the album. He writes the song and deliberately makes it so that it's everyone's song, no matter what they believe. And he chooses those lyrics so that it is your song. So that person on Twitter who said, oh my gosh, this song's actually about God. Like, no, if you didn't know for that long it wasn't about God, then it's about what you think it's about. That's how music works. So then I tweeted that 4-part, really sincere tweet that I know you didn't see, where I was like, there's a reason why Relient K's music speaks to everyone, no matter their religious background. It's because they're not, and I can expound on this a little bit more outside of a tweet. The reason Relient K's music speaks to everyone is because they're not writing songs because they're Christian. Not anymore. I'll explain that in a second. They're writing songs about loss and self-doubt. There's so much self-doubt in Matt Thiessen's lyrics. Bad Friend Thiessen is a constant character in all their songs. They're writing these things not because they're Christian, but they're writing these things because it's their therapy to work through these negative emotions through the music, and their belief in Christ is one of those things, so they kind of lens it around these concepts. This is why Relient K's music speaks to everyone, is because they write the song about trying to figure out how to get through these emotions. And you, as the listener, get to work through it with them. It becomes your therapy as well. Now, early Relient K music, up to this song maybe, early Relient K music was like, oh, you're having problems? Here's the answer. It's Jesus. They did that like so many other Christian bands do. And there's so much Christian music where it's like, I got problems, and here's the answer. It's Jesus. And Relient K did the same thing because I think they were influenced by other Christian pop bands, other Christian punk bands. They were influenced heavily by their own church background, whatever that might be, their denomination. And they were like, oh, I've got the answer. But I've got the answer. It's Jesus. You need to believe in Jesus, right? So many early Christian bands were ministries. They said, we're a ministry. The Supertones wasn't just a ska band. They were a ministry to get people saved.
They still are.
Right. Relient K, early in their career, did see themselves as a ministry up through the first 3 albums. And then by they were no longer a ministry. They were an artist who just created great art and put it out into the world so that people could experience it and take from it what they needed to take from it. And if that somehow led them, if people looked into more about Relient K and they're like, oh, they're working through things and figuring things out the way I've been trying to. Oh, they believe in Christ. Let me look into Christianity. But conversely, if it's like, oh, they're working through things and trying to figure things out as well, like I am. Oh, they're Christian. Well, I tried Christianity, or I had really bad trauma from Christianity, so I'm not interested in that. But that's great that like someone from my similar background is working through these things like I am, and maybe I can it's a friendship. My experience with their music is like a friendship that we can work through this together. So by it's now the music's for everybody. Now, from end to end is the second to last song on Two Lefts Make a Right, and we'll get into the lyrics, but it's
no, they don't, but 3 do.
Oh, did I say the wrong number? 2 lefts, 3 lefts, 3 lefts. The saying is 3 lefts. The album cover is called 2 lefts. I know. I know.
You just said you just said
32 lefts.
2 lefts make a right. That's all.
32 lefts make a right.
Exactly.
And 426 do as well. So this seems to me like I could like dig back into their discography, but as we've gone through all these songs and we're like getting to the end, like we've got about half a year worth of songs left. Like we got like 8 months worth of songs left.
Relient K. 1, we need new music. 2, damn, we got to figure out what we're going to do while we wait for Relient K to put out new music.
Sort of canonically, in their art, in their music, as it's presented to the world, this feels to me like the last full-on ministry song that Relient K will release. Like, this is the second to last song on the 3rd album before they become way more mature in how they present these ideas. They don't just like shove it in your face and say, this is the answer. It's Christ. Why won't you believe? Why won't you believe? Like, they don't do that anymore. This song is literally saying, can I get this? There's a lyric in the song. He's like, can I get this through your head? Like that thing when you're like really on fire for Christ and you really want to bring people into the fold, into the flock. And you're just like, hey, stupid, why don't you believe Jesus the way that I do? It's like, this is the last song, whether or not it's actually the last song he wrote like this or whatever, since it's the second to last song on this album and they get way more mature with and 5 score, this is kind of the last song like this in the ordered canon of Relient K music. And then eventually we'll get to The Lining is Silver, which I think is the absolute turning. Like if and 5 score or sort of a middle ground, a wasteland of figuring that stuff out. Not a wasteland, but sort of a middle ground of figuring that stuff out. By the time of The Lining is Silver, he full on, and I Just Want You to Know, which shares some DNA with this song. Like, both those songs are about being a more mature and even Christian and not just trying to, like, force your beliefs on people, not just taking a sword and, like, cutting down heathens. Like, actually just being a beacon and living your life and trying to figure yourself out and not trying to fix other people, because that's not exactly what Christ called you to do, right? That's how I've been experiencing from end to end this week. Do you want to dig into the actual lyrics and see how it goes?
Oh, sure. Let's do it. I've just been sitting here enjoying listening to you.
Don't lie to me. No one enjoys listening to me.
Also, I do want to say, no, I did not read your. I'm not up on the tweets, on the Twitters, but you did show me the tweets, and I thought it was really well said and very beautifully written. And I also want to state that I don't always co-sign just because it comes from the Sadie Hawkins on Twitter.
Jessica doesn't know what I'm doing on the Twitter.
I don't know what he's doing. Sometimes he'll be like, oh, so I had this really spicy take today, and I put it on Sadie Hawkins pod, and I'm like, wait, what?
Well, you know what's funny on the Twitter? Like
this one I do co-sign on, though, Dan.
For about a year, we've capped out. And I only recently really started like taking note of this number because of some stuff that happened. We capped out around 1,100 Twitter followers. And the reason I noticed that was because a couple months ago, I got really spicy about the fact that the word evangelical is meaningless. Like, but our society, our world, our zeitgeist, both the Christians and the non-Christians, I'm not going to get into it right now, I swear. But the word evangelical has a specific dictionary meaning. You go to Webster's, you go to Google, you go to, like, you ask your iPhone, what's the definition of evangelical? It'll tell you a definition. Then you go to Wikipedia, and it's a whole nother definition. Then you look at how people use it in podcasts, and it's a whole nother definition. And you see how people use it on Twitter, and it's a whole nother definition. And I'm like, half the time we're just using the word as, like, a synonym for Christian, but it's not. It's not a synonym for Christian. It's supposed to be a particular type of Christian, but then it becomes like, it's like problematic Christian, but it's also like a specific denomination, and it was technically a more liberal Christian years ago, and it got co-opted by a certain portion of whatever. I was like, this word just appears to me to be meaningless. Right? And I took all these spicy takes and questions to the Sadie Hawkins pod Twitter, and I could watch people being done with me on the Twitter follows because I watched us shoot down like 10, 15 follows But then we got them all back with this positive thing that I suddenly accidentally did about how Relient K is for everybody.
Well, Dan, you catch more flies with honey than you do vinegar.
Yeah, but you catch people at the chip shop with vinegar because vinegar is fun on French fries. See, vinegar still has a place in society. You got to have vinegar. You catch more people at the salad shop with vinegar.
You can't have the rainbow without the rain.
Yes, you can't have the rainbow without the rain.
Or however that Dolly Parton quote goes.
So I'm the rain, and Jessica's the rainbow. And unfortunately, the rain is in charge of the Twitter account and the Instagram. If you want the rainbow, you can go to Cinema Cataclysm's Instagram that Jessica runs. So enough of that. Here's the lyrics. Excuse me, but I've got a request. Could you take the gag off of my mouth? I admit that I'm fairly impressed, 'cause you're the best at blocking me out. I believe that we weren't quite done. I know it's hard to hear me out again. I realize you're not the only one who's terrified of life from end to end. So this is, I mean, spoiler warning, this is...
I mean, this just sounds like an angry Friend Thiessen song.
Right. This just sounds like a combative Friend Thiessen.
Yeah.
Like, this is about him witnessing about Christ, and he's... The more you dig into the song, like, that's gotta be the
don't you
point of
worry,
view.
we have song meetings.
Okay, good. I mean, not good. But, like, just like that person on Twitter who inspired me to write that Twitter thread, like, when you go through this song, except for one lyric towards the end where he says, like, believe him, and it's clearly he's talking about God, this could be like, you're in a toxic relationship. Will you please hear me out? That person you're dating is abusing you and using you, or you're addicted to drugs, or... Stop
coming right out and saying it, and listen to me for once.
Exactly. There's people partying out in our courtyard. I don't know if the mic's picking up, but exactly. Like, this song could be with pretty much one cut. This song could be about telling someone you have something that you really need to hear me about. But it becomes something else. Hey, hey. Oh, yeah, what do you think of the hey, hey? Sometimes I like it.
Monkeys.
Hey, hey, when the monkeys... The way that this song turns in the chorus and goes, hey, hey, can you hear... Can you hear anything I say? Guys. The way it turns with that, hey, hey, sometimes I like it, and sometimes I don't like it. It just strikes me differently each time. When Thiessen goes, hey, hey, can you hear anything I say? You don't have any opinion on it? Sometimes it feels really silly, and sometimes it feels really different, because I don't think there's another Relient K lyric where he kind of plays around and with that moment in the song and just goes, hey, hey. So, you have no opinion on that?
Why don't you play it for me?
Okay, keep doing it. See, what we're supposed to do is listen to the song before we start recording.
What did I say about Midnights?
See, this just sounds like No Effects to me.
See, and then there's the bell in there. I guess because, No Effects, we know is an inspiration, oh my goodness gracious, to Relient K, I should really listen to them.
Well, I'll make you a playlist of the songs that won't really upset you.
Oh, goodness gracious.
There's a lot of, ridiculous lyrics in their songs.
Is this like Rick and Morty? You're like, Jessica, maybe just don't touch
Oh, yeah,
Effects.
I told Jessica you're not going to like Rick and Morty. There's a handful of Rick and Morty episodes you would like.
You will often be like, oh, I can hear the No Effects, influence here and there, and I just don't know it.
Here it is. Nope. Wait another minute.
Did you listen to the song this week, Dan?
I don't remember the whole song from end to end, but I do know that generally there are sections in here. Oh, right, he says the song right before he goes to the hey, hey, okay. Oh, he said the title of the song.
This just sounds like anything you would hear in Hot Topic from around this time, that, little hey, hey bit.
The more you listen to the song, at least personally, the more I listen to the song, sometimes the hey, hey, it was like, ugh. And sometimes it's like, yeah, that's perfectly fine. And then, what's the other part? He goes, tell me, what's this part? Hold on. This. Is that a thing is that wavering like that, that thing? Warble. Like, that's not a thing that Thiessen does very often.
Not really. Now, how does this differentiate from the non-gold version, since I know you're playing it on Spotify right now?
This is the gold version. Let me get one other. He does one other wavery part. Here it is. Tell me.
Oh wow!
This is a more bravadic.
Yeah.
Is that a word? The more bravado version of Thiessen. Tell me. See, let's just do the listening of the song in the episodes.
That's so 90s though. Like that, that definitely has that sort of 90s rock feel to it.
So the biggest difference, like, there is definitely...
Who is he, Matchbox 20?
It turned out he was the whole time. Wait, he wasn't the one. No, it was the person trying to wake him up with Matchbox 20. So the biggest difference between the gold version and the non-gold version is the sort of slowed down little breakdown part where an acoustic guitar comes in. So here's how everyone knows it from it being the gold version...
I already like that intro better on the non-gold.
Right. Oh, this is the gold again.
God damn.
Here's how everyone hears it nowadays on streaming, because the gold version is the
apologize for taking the Lord's name in vain there. Danny just switched things up. This has a different cover, so I
moved to my phone's hard drive music because I need to compare the versions directly.
I only listened to the song like once, maybe twice. I'm sorry, okay?
But did you listen to it from end to end?
Yes.
Okay.
Did I pay attention to it from end to end? Maybe not.
So right here, where the rest of the song drops out and it goes to one acoustic instrument, this is how it sounds in the gold version.
Hey, can you hear anything I say?
And then this is how it sounds in the non-gold version.
Hey, can you hear anything I say? You search for the shortcut.
Could you even tell the difference? There's a big difference. You might not be able to tell it on the speaker in the room right now.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, they turn up the acousticness of the edit, of the volumes, of the mix. That's the word. They turn up the acoustic guitar mix. Yeah, they turn up the acoustic guitar mix in the gold version, whereas in the original non-gold version, they kind of have the acoustic guitar with a little bit of an effect on it. Or maybe there's two guitars, an electric guitar and... Let me listen again. There might be an electric guitar and an acoustic guitar matched together where the electric one has an effect on it. Here it is. Again, the non-gold breakdown section.
Hey, can you hear anything I say?
Yeah, there's just an extra... I guess it's just the acoustic guitar, but there's an extra added effect on the acoustic guitar, but they remove that in the non-gold version. That's what I'm hearing. The rest of the mix, this song actually, when I put on the big headphones, both ways this song sounded a little muddy, like it wasn't mixed the best out of everything else on the album. Maybe that's another reason why I never pay a lot of attention to it for either version. I don't know. I couldn't notice any other big edit points or any other big, obvious leaping out differences between the gold and the non-gold.
Can you play the beginning for me of the non-gold?
Here's the beginning of the non-gold version of the song.
Oh, see, yeah, I already like this better than the gold version.
That does sound... What? That was a reasonable thing you said. What did you... How was it funny? What the hell's going on outside our apartment? They having a party out there.
Is there a soccer game? Are they playing the football today somewhere?
It's our across the hall neighbors. That's why it sounds so loud. They
We're
have their door
noisy
open.
sometimes too. It's all good.
We're in here at all hours of the night yelling about this song
movies.
is secular, this song's not secular.
And that.
We barely got into the lyrics. Let's get back into it. But yeah, so
I was about to ask for your closing notes.
We didn't even do our break yet.
Oops.
Because I just can't believe the way that this continues to go on is the next lyric. So it's like he's having this problem with this person and he keeps like debating with them and trying to get them to understand something. Again, I wish you could say that that's anything, but it comes down to he's saying like you should believe in Christ. I say, I wish you didn't always think I'm wrong, so tell me. And that came up in another Relient K song where there was something about like, I wish you, was it I just want you to know, where it's something, there's another song where it's like,
I think it is.
Yeah, he's like, you know, when you are trying to witness to someone about Christ and get them to believe, like, it's not on you to say, stop telling me I'm wrong.
Yeah.
It's not your, like, when you believe in Christ, it's so
you need patience.
Selfish, but it's so selfish to think, like, I'm right. Like, yeah, you are convicted and you believe in Christ, but when it comes down in a debate with a person, it's like, I'm right and you're wrong. Like, that's not like actually the spirit of like Christ inside you coming out into the world. Like you're taking it personal at like I take ska opinions personal. Like when somebody says that reggae came before ska and I'm like, that's wrong. Like that's on the same par as like getting mad with someone because you're right about Christ and they're wrong. I mean, especially when like people have different denominations and different things that they believe, and like who's to say you're right and they're wrong? Like, don't make it about yourself.
Right. I don't want to say I'm right. I just want you to know that there was a man who lived one day with holes in his hands, as some do say, and I believe we'd be friends if we talked and prayed. So we do. That's why we do. I don't want to say I'm right because I just want you to know.
Right. So when we talk...
Which is aggressive.
Which sounds aggressive when a lot of people interpret that song as, I don't want to say I'm right, I just want you to know. And a lot of people interpret that song as Matt Thiessen saying, I don't want you to say that I'm right about Christ died for your sins, I just want you to magically know. And that if you think that that song's about preaching and witnessing, then it makes him sound like a monster. Because it makes him sound like he's got all the right answers, like a cult leader, like I've got the right answers.
I just want you to know that's not the right way to go about it.
Right.
Like there's a better way.
We dissected that song and we came to the conclusion that it's really about like realizing that, about being a woke Christian, about trying to be a Christian who lives by example. I don't want to say I'm right, that we shouldn't be attacking people for not believing the things we believe. I just want you to know, fellow Christian, that we shouldn't attack people. That's what I think that song's actually about. From End to End, though, is about what I've said. I think what I've already said it's about. So in this case, it is actually him saying to someone, "You're wrong and I'm right. I just wish you knew. I just wish you knew that I'm right." And I think that it's good that this kind of proselytizing version of Relient K, this is the last one. This is the last song like this, unless I feel that you misinterpret I just want you to know. So then I'll skip ahead to towards the end of the song. So tell me that what it will take to get this through your head. That's more of that aggressive stuff. And tell me what it will take to get you on my good side again. But again, if I didn't believe that this song was about witnessing, this could be about like one of those Bad Friend Thiessen songs. What will it take to get you on my good side again? What will it take to get this through your head that I'm sorry? What will it take to get this through your head that you need to realize you have a drug problem? What will it take to get this through your head to realize you're in a toxic relationship? Like, all of those would be healthy ways of saying this. But if you're saying, what will it take to get this through your head that my belief in Christ is right and what you believe is wrong, that's not how you win hearts. That's not how you win minds. That's not valuable witnessing at all. Then towards the end here, he says, and tell me what it will take to forget what you knew. Just let him find you, and then you'll see things through from end to end. So at the very end, he tosses in the him, which here on Google is not a capitalized him. But I feel like it's just got to be the him, meaning God. Like, let him in, let Christ in your heart, and you'll see your life through from end to end. And also the idea that, like, Christ will make all your life better. Like, that's also something that will make your day-to-day life better, will make your will give you health and wealth, will make everything magically better, will cure all your emotional problems instantly, and you'll never have those problems again. That's not something Relient K ever really touches on again, to say it like it here is here. Like, he's saying, let him in and you'll see everything through from end to end. Like, no, it's a constant work. Like, even if you have Christ in your heart, even if you have this faith and belief, you have to keep working on everything just like you always have. This isn't a one giant Band-Aid. It's a treatment to us as humans. Like, there are lots of treatments, emotional and spiritual, that you can find. Here's my emotional and spiritual treatment. It's Christ. This song seems to push the idea that it's the one be-all super magic grandpa's tonic that's going to cure all of your problems from end to end. But, you know, it's still a kick-ass song musically.
And with that, we are going to go ahead and take our break. Thank you so much for listening to Sadie Hawkins Pod. If you want to join the conversation, please contact us with thoughts on this episode, your corrections, and your Relient K memories at our voicemail line 402-95-SADIE, or send an email to sadiehawkinspod@gmail.com.
You can also visit our socials. Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok are all at Sadie Hawkins Pod, where you can see the visuals we discuss on the podcast each week.
You can also visit sadiehawkinspod.com for easy access to all these links, as well as our merch store for shirts, mugs, and stickers. And on Facebook, search for Sadie Hawkins Group to discuss our show and Relient K. It's admin by Danny, so honestly, you can probably post almost anything there.
We also want to thank our patrons at patreon.com/SadieHawkinsPod, who include Nick, Bjorn, Emily, Isaac, Kindle, Joshua, Daniel, Jay, Joel, Connor, Michael, Samantha, Jimmy Eat Pod, This Might Be a Podcast, Tucker, and Brady.
Join our Patreon now for 2 monthly bonus episodes. Unlock dozens of existing bonus eps, including K's for Karaoke songs, every chapter of the complex infrastructure known as the Female Mind Book, stickers, guitar picks, and a special Patreon exclusive shirt when you have donated a lifetime contribution of $60.
Whether you join the Patreon or not, we appreciate that you have a lot of choices for podcasts out there in the world, so it's nice that you chose us.
Thanks. As I mentioned earlier, we have song meanings.
Let's get into the people who really know what they're talking about.
Music Kid 07 on November 8th, 2004 said, first comment, woot, with 2 zeros as the O's. Anywho, seems to me that this song's about Matt and him trying to witness to someone and tell them about God, but they don't really want to hear it, and they act like they don't care, but they can't completely just forget everything he's saying. You've tried to ignore the things I say, but in the end, you found you never could. CC Ghost on December 22nd, 2004 said, yeah, I agree, but I think it's about someone trying to get a point across and being pushed aside, and seeing life from end to end means seeing life after death in heaven, and how you need to live life for God and have a meaningful life, and how the person will try anything to make the other person see. PNK FZZY SLPPRS 117, or Pink Fuzzy Slippers 117, on March 19, 2005 says, this song makes me cry almost every time I play it because I'm in the exact same position. I try to witness, but this person won't listen. They get mad. This line is especially great. And tell me what it will take to forget what you knew. Just let him find you. And then you'll see things through from end to end.
I just thought of something else. You know when you know someone who actually has mental health problems, but they don't want to work on it, and you say, you need help. Boy, that always works out, doesn't it? That's a real fix-all. Like, to look at someone that you're having like problems with, you know, emotionally, mentally, like you're not, you know, and you just go, you need help. That always works. So, like, why would you think that would work on a you know, that's something that is happening now in the physical world. Like, why would you think that same thing, you need Christ? Why do you think that would work when it's something that you kind of have to learn and be taught, this whole idea of there's a whole nother spiritual world? Like, that's not something that people immediately see, but people can tell, like, they're, you know, having problems and constantly fighting with people. And then someone yells at them and says, you need help. They're not going to accept that. But like, come on. I feel bad for this person who felt bad when they tried to tell their friend, you know, they tried to witness and their friend always got mad. But I would also say, like, how did that person approach their non-Christian friend?
Right.
Did they approach it in a way that caused them to be mad? Did they ever lead by example? Did they ever, like, show them why, aside from you have to believe this thing? Did they show them any other benefit to their faith other than just believe this thing or you go to hell?
Drummer Girl on May 19th, 2005 said, I love this song. I so know what he feels like trying to tell his friends about God and being so discouraging because they just don't seem to listen. Even though you know what they think, they think about what you said afterwards, specifically the forget what you knew. Because I have lots of smart friends who think science explains everything, and they just need to get rid of that idea.
Science.
Who'd you vote for in the last two elections?
Science
friend?
does explain everything that science is able to explain so far.
No, I'm just kidding about that. But, you know, yes, I mean, I'm not going to get into it here. I'm not going to get into it here. Like, there are things that science can't explain, and that's where faith comes in. So,
and God gave, and like, if you believe that God created the universe, God gave us science. Like,
exactly.
The first Christians did it because they wanted to. The first early scientists were Christian.
I accidentally said that one
I know.
Before.
Early scientists were often Christian because they wanted to understand more about God's creation. And then it just got to this point where it's like, well, no, like, there's no, you know, it's unraveling more, and it's like challenging people's faith. But like, isn't there a way to, like, still maintain a faith? And I know that this is impossible for people on both sides of it, but it is for me to, like, maintain a faith, but still understand that everything that comes out from science is true. Like, both can be true. Like, Christians already compartmentalize things anyway. So, like, how can you not, you know, like, the stuff the Bible says that contradicts the other stuff the Bible says? You already compartmentalize that. How can you not compartmentalize science with the Bible?
Guitar Chica 101 on January 3rd, 2008 said, I think it means that the person they're talking about doesn't see things from a different perspective. He/she only sees things from his/her point of view. And I doubt it is even about death. That kind of depresses me. I think it's about a girl, but I guess that's just me. And good for you. Guess what, Guitar Chica 101? If that's what you want to take out of this and that helps you through a situation, then that's what it means. And to everyone else who has the same comments from, you know, the other side of and the other point of view, then that's great for you too. Rock and Roll Girl 47 on May 16th, 2012 said it could definitely be both. Many of the songs Matt writes are directed at his ex-girlfriend who lost sight of her faith for a chance at stardom. Who do you think they're talking about, Dan? I don't know. But
I don't think the timing works out on this at all.
No, well, it could be directed.
What year is this comment?
2012.
No, I get what they're saying, but this doesn't work out. The timing doesn't work out for this at all. They were still together when this song was written.
Well, it could be directed at a friend. The lyrics definitely point to a strong attachment in the relationship.
Which, by the way, okay. No,
they talk about this issue often and cannot avoid one another or ignore their love, even if this causes a rift in their friendship. After all, the Christian faith is all about relationships with the Trinity and with other people. The two are inseparable, two faces of the same coin. So if you write a song about your faith that uses real issues and real emotions, you're going to get the purely rational side of it too. And I think that is kind of in a roundabout way what we're also saying, where it's like you just kind of, it could be about both and you can take away from it whatever you want to take away from it, because Matt is a great songwriter and that's how these songs often go, where it really feels like it could be about either. in regards to the specific girlfriend, she did get her start in Christian music, and I believe her father is a minister. So,
but that can't be what this song is about, because they were still together when this song was written. And aside from that, she was Christian. There's no point where Matt Thiessen was like, why won't you believe in Jesus? She's always believed in Jesus. It brings back to when we did the Patreon episode about her first Christian album. We found that like clip of her performing on TBN or something with one of those early songs, and it was all like Christian Karens in the comments saying, well, she's headed for hell now. Oh, look at her being so nice back then, but now she's a harlot and she's this and that. And one person specifically said, only God can judge her now. And I was like, yeah, God's judged her and with incredible health and wealth. Like, what's the difference? Like, someone gets incredible health and wealth, but they don't, and they believe in Christ. Well, that was Christ giving them that. But someone doesn't believe in Christ exactly the same way you think they're supposed to, and their incredible health and wealth is just worldly things that they're chasing instead of... There's what's the difference there? There's no line. You don't actually see a line.
It's just perspective.
It's just perspective, which is a lovely hand to hold, I've heard.
It is. So, Danny, what do you have for us this week?
So, this episode became spicy, just like some of my tweets. This is like our Twitter feed in the form of an episode. So there's only 2 guitar covers of this song, and there's no live performances. But I tried to do as deep a dive as I could, so I searched very specifically, show me the word Reliant, spelled with an E. YouTube videos where the word Reliant with an E is in the title, and the word From. And that gave us all kinds of fun stuff. April, we're almost done.
She's getting spicy. And
we can't make it through. It's been 2 weeks, and we can't make it through an episode without you being like, stop recording and take me for a walk.
It's not even that late. It's not even close to walk time either. We're still 2 hours out from that, which we're going to the LA Haunted Hayride tonight, so we are going to have to...
pray that our souls are saved from Satan.
Well,
that we're safe the whole time.
But also she's going to have to go out early.
Right. So here is what is really just a bad nightcore, but it's...
Okay.
It's
Did you make it?
No. I make good nightcore, thank you very much. This is from a YouTube channel called Remixed Voice. And this is, like, problematic in that it's called Relient K from End to End, Female Voice. So they just pitch the song up, and they're like, imagine if From End to End had a female voice.
Oh,
it literally doesn't sound like that. It's just a higher pitch Matt Thiessen. Yeah. It's like, oh, chicks, they got higher voices. Like, this is a sexist upload. This is a sexist nightcore.
Boo, there's nothing I hate more than a sexist nightcore.
And we know that Thiessen is capable of like a really high falsetto, almost female voice, because in the Sadie Hawkins Dance 10th anniversary version, when he starts singing from the girl's perspective, he sang so high that the first time I heard it, I literally thought they brought in a female guest vocal for that part, which I thought was cute. And I'm like, oh wait, this is just Matt Thiessen singing higher than he ever has on any other record. So there's that. But then I found a bunch of videos just with the word Reliant and From in the title. So here's one. This is Relient K talking about fans who came from Columbia to Pennsylvania to see the Yeah tour.
Oh, wow.
This is uploaded by Yara Shalom. This is live in Philadelphia from 6 months ago.
Is today Friday? It feels Saturday. Oh, hi, welcome. Yeah, thanks for coming. They came from Columbia. And I don't think they mean Tennessee.
That's a long way to Philly.
Yeah. Columbia, Tennessee is also
a long way to Philly.
Yeah, but not quite as far. Whoa! Awesome, yeah, why? I guess we're not playing the birds good. Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, it's our first show in the spring. It's a springtime now. This song is about being able to sleep outside in the yard if you want to. It's called Bumming.
So I don't know if that was even worth playing. Some people came from Columbia. This was Philadelphia was their first show in the spring of 2020, and Bummin's about sleeping in the yard if you want to. I wish I'd known that when we did the song Bummin'.
2022.
What did I say?
2020.
Isn't it still 2020?
Well,
what year is it?
In a way.
Who's president? Oh, this is something I found, and I think this should just be sent around to everyone. Here's Relient K playing the song Happy Birthday. The recently released into the public domain, Happy Birthday. They're singing it here in the context. Oh, after this Hotels.com ad. Here they're singing it in the context to Matt Hoops. This is from 16 years ago. I mean, wow. I'm more shocked that YouTube is at least 16 years old.
I was going to make a depressing comment, but I'm just going to move on. And yes, indeed. Hard to believe, Dan. Hard to believe.
This is uploaded. So if you type in Happy Birthday from Relient K, this is Relient K covering the Happy Birthday song, singing it to Matt Thiessen. But I think Relient K fans should start sending this around to each other on their birthdays. Yeah, Matt, indeed. Happy birthday, Matt Hoops. I think it was just his birthday again. Or it was just George Foreman's birthday as well. I meant John Foreman. I did that one on purpose. Oh no, you weren't here for that. You were up in space with Tom DeLonge when that happened again. And then here's another one I found just randomly, like real obscure Relient K videos on YouTube. This one I found just by searching for the words Reliant and From. This is John from Relient K wants you to check out the band Draw One Card, and this is uploaded by the YouTube channel Draw One Card.
I can't wait to find out which John.
Hey, what's up? This is John from the band Relient K, and you should check out Draw One Card because they are awesome!
Danny, John Foreman's not part of Relient K.
That was John Schneck. I did a similar thing for my friend's band Good for Life, the ska band from New England, where I would take a camera around all the time and I would ask people, like, say something nice about my friend's band Good for Life, and then I would put this on a website for them. Somewhere I've got footage.
We know,
I know, I've got footage of Katy Perry saying, check out Good for Life. So let's check out One Card. If they got the John Schneck seal of approval.
Heck yeah.
Here's Draw One Card's song, You're Not My Jenna.
Hey guys, it's Isaac from Draw One Card. I just wanted to play you guys a little something. So this song is called You're Not My Jenna.
Did someone just sneeze in the background?
It's my favorite part of the song.
With the full onomatopoeia, achoo.
Your heart in the right place, but your mind plays somewhere else. Thinking of past goals that once saved me from mine. But sweetie, you're not really here with me.
This is nice and all, but like the lyrics honestly feel like an AI generator.
You feel like an AI generator.
I don't know what to say. I mean, it's obviously not. It's from 10 years ago, and he's singing right now. I'm sorry. John Schneck said check out Draw One Card. They're great. I'm just saying.
This has the Schneck seal of approval.
It does.
We don't have the Schneck seal of approval.
No, we don't.
Mainly because we forgot to ask when he was on the show to be like, hey, you're listening to Sadie Hawkins pod.
Right.
Which is something that I do think about from time to time. Although with your spicy takes, no member of Relient K is going to want to do that for us.
I think back, and I'm really bummed that we didn't think to have Ethan Luck do an opening bit with us. Like, write a skit and have him do that with us.
Why just Ethan?
Because we weren't because John Schneck was early on in the podcast, and I definitely wouldn't have thought of that. But by the time Ethan was on the show, we should have done that.
Well, we got to get him back on now, both of them. But
we'll get them both on the podcast together, hash things out, have a debate on Sadie Hawkins' pod.
About what?
Who's the best? I don't know. Hold on, hold on. I'll think of something. Who makes the best sandwiches on tour?
Very good. Moving on. What else do you have for us, Danny?
I mean, I guess that could be it.
Okay.
Oh, well, speaking of Ethan Luck, I got Ethan Luck from Relient K speaking to PETA 2. Weren't you a member of PETA 2 for a bit?
I was.
Yeah, because wasn't PETA... How did PETA 2 work? PETA had all this bad publicity for doing horrible things. So then, PETA 2 started up as hey, teens, join PETA, right. But we're not the bad PETA. We're PETA 2.
They definitely had better, advertising,
right.
and cute cartoons on stickers.
Yeah, it's we're not gonna send you.
We're not gonna send you upsetting footage of things. We're just gonna be show you little cute chickens that drawings that say "I'm not a nugget," and you're like, "Oh, that's adorable. Let me stick it on my notebook."
Well, here's Ethan Luck. I don't know if he's still vegan, but at the time
he is.
He is. Okay, well, here in 2011 is Ethan Luck talking about having been a vegan for 2 years.
I'm Ethan Luck from Relient K, and this is for PETA 2. I have eaten a vegan diet for about 2 years now, just over 2 years. My wife has been vegetarian for about 17. Over the course of a month, after eating a lot of barbecue in the South, I just started feeling really sick, and I just decided to try it. And after a month, I loved it. I started learning how to cook more and better, and getting more creative with things to eat at home and on tour. So I ended up just falling in love with it. After I would eat, I wouldn't ever feel sick or uncomfortable, or even if I ate a lot of food that was vegan, I would be full but not sick full. After about 5 or 6 months, I think I dropped 20 pounds without even exercising. When I started cooking more, the main thing...
Jessica just made a face at me yeah, Danny, yeah. No, I agree.
You'll feel way better when you actually follow it.
When I have fully gone vegan with you for a month or two at a time, I always feel great.
And then inevitably, you go right back to it.
Well, eventually, I see a delicious cheeseburger, and I think, I can't not eat that cheeseburger.
You can not eat it, though.
And I sing the His Cheeseburger song. Okay. The cheeseburger's not available, so I go and I go get bacon and eggs.
No.
I definitely don't eat bacon anymore. So anyway, we'll just cut that off there. So there's Ethan Luck telling you eat a vegan diet. I don't know.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, from Ethan Luck to PETA 2 and you, eat a vegan diet.
It's good stuff. You'll feel better.
So Jessica.
Yes.
What do you think of veganism? Do you think it's better, worse, or the same since before we did this episode?
Even better.
You think veganism is even better?
I sure do.
I think it's way worse. I think God put us on this planet to eat.
No, don't be one of those kind of folks. Come on.
And I'm going to have to eat 4 times as much meat as you to damn your convictions. Because you're always shoving it in people's faces. You're always going around to people saying, I wish I could get this through your head. I wish you could see life from end to end as vegan. So I wish you could just understand. No, Jessica never does that. She always she lives by example.
I really try not to be pushy with anything.
Right.
With anything I feel or believe in or whatever.
Right.
Sometimes I'll be like, hey, you want a good cup of coffee? Oakland Coffee Roasters. It's good stuff.
Very green, and not just because it's Green Day, but actually because it's the most eco-friendly coffee company in the world.
Not sponsored, just letting you know. If you don't want to buy that, that's cool. I don't care. You do you, friend. If you want to know more about it, hit me up. That's cool. But I'm like, I'm not going to push it down your throat. That's up to you.
Sure. So, with that in mind, what do you think of the song From End to End by Relient K? Do you like it more, the same, or less than before?
That's actually a really difficult question this time.
I feel like it is, yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually not sure on this one. I don't know. I do quite like the music more, since I had just not really paid much attention to it previously. I definitely like the music more. I don't know how I feel about the lyrics, because again, like we just said, I'm not pushy. I don't like being pushy. I don't like pushing like your views on someone, especially if they're not asking for it. If they're asking for it, then, you know, that's one thing. But sort of kind of going out of your way to be aggressive and try to bring someone into something, no matter how well-meaning it is.
Right.
It's just, you know, it's a lot. You know, making friendly suggestions here or there, being like, hey, I'm
living
here.
by example.
Living by example.
Like a vegan person who lives by example shows how healthy and happy they are. Like Ethan Luck. And just like, if you eventually notice how happy Ethan Luck looks and feels from being vegan, then maybe you're like, oh, maybe there's something to this vegan
and
thing.
I'm sure that if you ask him about it, he'll tell you about it, like PETA 2 did, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it's definitely the hang-up is in the lyrics, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. So I think I go from like the same to like more, because I paid attention to the song more. And again, if you just take out one word from this song, it can be a song about pleading with someone for doing something that they need to realize is bad, which again could be a toxic relationship, drug addiction, or in this case, it's not believing in Christ and going to hell when they die. But whatever, like, this song can be multiple things, like a lot of Relient K songs can, and so I do think I like it more. Aside from the fact of what I really do obviously think is the intended message of the song, I think it exists in an area where it doesn't have to be that. So I think I like it more. Right. Kind of, with the caveat of...
Yeah. Absolutely. Agreed, for sure. Well, thank you guys so much for listening and bearing with us through this transitional period.
And we'll be back next week with a spooky episode.
That's right.
What could it be? There's no more Halloween Relient K songs
that you know of. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
We already did the deathbed. We already did the spookiest song, Deathbed.
Right.
So what could it be? Well, you'll have to tune in next week to find out.